It was the dim pre-dawn of June 6th, 1944, off the fog-shrouded coast of Normandy, where the English Channel churned with a restless swell, the air heavy with the briny mist and the low, persistent hum of diesel engines from a vast armada of landing ships slicing through the waves. Lieutenant General Omar Bradley, aboard the USS Augusta, felt the deck vibrate beneath his feet as searchlights pierced the gloom intermittently, illuminating the silhouettes of Higgins' boats bobbing in formation. Their ramps sealed against the spray, while the scent of oil and cordite hung like an omen. The wind carried faint echoes of muffled commands from nearby vessels, but dominating all was that steady hum, a mechanical chorus from over 5,000 ships, signaling the inexorable approach of Operation Neptune, the amphibious assault that would crack open Fortress Europe and expose the Wehrmacht to the full fury of Allied resolve. This moment, as the first wave crested toward the beaches code-named Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword, was no mere tactical gambit. It was the culmination of years of inventive American logistics, a force that would stun German commanders into a dawning horror of their strategic miscalculations. To appreciate the magnitude of that fateful dawn, one must retrace the intricate web of planning and preparation that rendered D-Day not just feasible, but unstoppable. By mid-1943, with the Axis reeling from defeats in North Africa and the Eastern Front, Allied leaders, foremost President Franklin D. Roosevelt and Prime Minister Winston Churchill, committed to opening a second front in Western Europe to relieve Soviet pressure and hasten Nazi Germany's collapse. Operation Overlord, the broader campaign encompassing the Normandy invasion, demanded an unprecedented logistical orchestration, assembling, transporting, and sustaining over 2 million troops across the Channel, far from established ports. The U.S. Army, under General Dwight D. Eisenhower's Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force, SHEF, shouldered the bulk of this burden, drawing on America's industrial colossus to innovate solutions for challenges like beachhead supply in the absence of capture harbors. Planners anticipated German defenses under Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, who had fortified the Atlantic Wall with 15,000 concrete structures, minefields, and artillery emplacements stretching from Norway to Spain. Yet, the invasion's success hinged on deceptive maneuvers like Operation Fortitude, which used dummy armies and false radio traffic to convince the Wehrmacht that the main thrust would strike Pas-de-Calais, not Normandy, thereby dispersing enemy reserves. This context elevated D-Day from a military operation to a testament of democratic ingenuity, where American factories churned out 124,000 vehicles, 2,876 tanks, and 2,400 artillery pieces for the initial assault, all funneled through British ports in a symphony of coordination that would overwhelm the Reich's rigid hierarchy. German commanders, ensconced in their bunkers along the coast, harbored expectations forged in the fires of early war triumphs and ideological certitude. They anticipated a hesitant, piecemeal Allied crossing, if it came at all, targeted at the narrower channel crossing to Calais, where defenses were thickest and logistics simpler for the invaders. Rommel, dubbed the Desert Fox for his Africa Corps exploits, had warned Hitler that the first 24 hours would be decisive, expecting American forces to falter under withering fire, their supply lines severed by U-boats and Luftwaffe strikes, leaving isolated beachheads vulnerable to counterattack from panzer divisions held in reserve. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, overall commander in the West, dismissed U.S. capabilities as amateurish, viewing the Americans as material-rich but tactically naive, their logistics hampered by oceanic distances and inexperience in large-scale amphibious operations. Capture documents reveal German intelligence underestimating Allied shipping, predicting at most 30 divisions could be sustained in the first month, far short of the reality. Yet, as the horizon filled with the silhouettes of 6,939 vessels, including 1,213 warships and 4,126 landing craft, the illusion shattered. What unfolded was a torrent of inventive American logistics. Waves of duplex drive, DD, amphibious Sherman tanks splashing ashore at Utah and Omaha, their canvas flotation screens allowing them to swim from 5,000 yards out, catching defenders off guard. Specialized engineering vehicles for Major General Percy Hobart's 79th Armored Division. Flail tanks to clear mines. Bridge layers to span anti-tank ditches. Breaching obstacles with mechanical precision, and the immediate deployment of artificial mulberry harbors, prefabricated concrete caissons towed across the channel to create instant ports capable of unloading 7,000 tons daily per harbor. Rommel, inspecting defenses weeks prior, had scoffed at the possibility of such scale, but as reports flooded in of over 150,000 troops landing by midnight, 73,000 Americans, 61,715 British, 21,400 Canadians, and smaller contingents from Free French and other allies. His aides recorded his stunned silence. The expected rout transforming into an unrelenting flood of men and material. The factual chronicle of this logistical masterpiece draws from declassified SHEF reports, after-action analyses, and German interrogations that quantify the ingenuity at play. In the build-up, codenamed Bolero, the U.S. transported 1.5 million troops to Britain by June 1944, utilizing Liberty ships mass-produced at a rate of one every 42 days in American yards, each carrying 10,800 tons of cargo. On D-Day itself, 132,715 troops landed by sea. 59,000 Americans at Utah and Omaha were innovative Rhino ferries, pontoon barges, and LSTs, landing ship tanks, disgorged 2,500 vehicles and 500 tanks amid heavy surf, supplemented by 23,400 airborne troops parachuting or gliding in behind enemy lines. There's C, 47 Skitrans dropping 13,100 U.S. paratroopers from the 82nd and 101st Divisions with pinpoint accuracy despite scatter drops. Casualties were grievous, 4,414 confirmed dead, including 2,501 Americans, but the beaches were secured, with Utah falling swiftly due to naval bombardment from battleships like the USS Nevada, which fired 337 14-inch shells, while Omaha's bloody contest saw engineers blasting through concrete with Bangalore torpedoes and satchel charges. By D+5, the Mulberry at Arromanches, Mulberry B, was operational, its 33 jetties and 10 miles of floating roadways, unloading 9,000 tons daily despite a June 19 storm that wrecked Mulberry 8 at Omaha, prompting rapid adaptations like beaching LSTs directly on tidal flats. Pluto, pipeline under the ocean, an engineering marvel of flexible 3-inch pipes laid from England to Cherbourg, began pumping 1 million gallons of fuel daily by September, sustaining the breakout. German General Friedrich Dahlmann, commanding the 7th Army, reportedly exclaimed in a capture dispatch, "The enemy's material superiority is overwhelming. Their landing craft seem endless," a sentiment echoed by Rommel in a June 10th report to Hitler. "The enemy is establishing himself firmly ashore despite our countermeasures. Supplies are pouring in." Von Rundstedt, upon learning of the airborne drops disrupting reinforcements, confided to aides at the American logistical feats, airdropping 500 tons of supplies to isolated paratroopers, rendered traditional defenses obsolete. This hum of the landing craft engines recurred as a resonant symbol throughout the invasion, an auditory testament to American abundance forged in the shipyards of democracy, where free labor and innovation produced vessels at scales unimaginable to the Reich, embodying the collective power of a nation unbound by tyranny. The transformation in Wehrmacht perception unfolded with the inexorability of the rising tide, eroding the bedrock of Nazi invincibility. Initially, commanders like Rommel clung to hopes of a decisive counterstroke, positioning the 21st Panzer Division near Cannes and awaiting the fictitious Calais assault that fortitude perpetuated through double agents and inflatable tanks. But as the hum of those engines heralded wave after wave, by D+11, 326,547 troops, 54,186 vehicles, and 104,428 tons of supplies ashore. The illusion crumbled. Interrogated officers later admitted the shock. The rapid buildup, facilitated by gooseberry breakwaters, sunken ships forming harbors, and spud pontoons, allowed Allied forces to expand the lodgment to 850,000 men and 150,000 vehicles by July's end, far outpacing German reinforcements hampered by Allied air interdiction that destroyed 2,200 locomotives. This realization fostered a fatalistic ideology. Rommel, in a July 15th letter to Hitler before his wounding, warned that the strength of the enemy is increasing more rapidly than reserves are reaching the front, attributing the imbalance to American productive genius. The Wehrmacht's shift from aggressive panzer doctrine to static defense reflected this. By August, as the breakout at St. Lo unleashed Operation Cobra, German morale fractured, with desertions rising amid reports of U.S. supply trains, precursors to the Red Ball Express, delivering 7,500 tons daily over 300 miles. Captured General Hans Eberbach lamented in interrogation, "Your logistics turned our wall into sand. We could not match the flood." This ideological pivot manifested in desperate measures like the Mortain counterattack, which failed against American mobility, sealing the Falaise pocket's doom and 50,000 German casualties. Delving deeper into the operational tapestry reveals the layers of American invention that propelled this triumph. The Higgins boat, designed by New Orleans boat builder Andrew Higgins and produced at 20,000 units, enabled rapid troop debarkation under fire, its shallow draft navigating reefs that German planners deemed impassable. At Omaha, where cliffs and pillboxes claimed 2,000 casualties, U.S. Rangers scaled Point Du Hoc with rocket-fire grapnels, destroying guns threatening the beaches. Logistical foresight included prefabricated fuel depots and ammunition dumps, with 17 million ship tons of supplies stockpiled in Britain pre-invasion. The hum of engines echoed in every phase, from the 1,500 C-47s towing 1,200 gliders in Operation Chicago and Detroit, delivering 4,000 troops and 500 jeeps, to the LSTs beaching at high tide to unload directly, circumventing port shortages. German responses, as per OKW Oberkommando der Wehrmacht diaries, evolved from denial. Initial reports dismissed the landings as a feint, to alarm, with Hitler delaying Panzer Lehr's release until afternoon, by which time beachheads were consolidated. By D+30, the Normandy front absorbed 1 million Allied troops, their sustainment via innovative rail repairs and truck convoys outstripping German horse-drawn logistics, which moved at 10 miles per day versus American motorized 30. As the campaign intensified, the emotional undercurrents among German ranks deepened into a profound disquiet. Soldiers in the 352nd Infantry Division at Omaha, expecting to repel a disorganized assault, instead faced barges from 600 guns and 10,000 tons of bombs, their positions overrun by persistent waves bolstered by immediate resupply. Captured enlisted men spoke of awe at American abundance. Rations including chocolate and cigarettes airdropped to forward units, contrasting with their own ersatz coffee and bread shortages. Officers like General Friedrich von Schlieffen's descendants and staff roles noted in memoirs how the hum of ceaseless convoys symbolized the futility of attrition against a foe whose factories replenished losses overnight. This realization permeated ideology. The Nazi emphasis on willpower yielded to acknowledgments of material defeat. As seen in Rommel's suicide after the July 20th plot, his despondency rooted in logistical realities. By September, with Paris liberated and the Red Ball Express, 5,958 trucks driven largely by African-American soldiers, delivering 412,000 tons over 82 days, German command devolved into recriminations, von Rundstedt admitting post-war. The American supply system was a wonder. It broke our back. The hum persisted as a motif through the hedgerows and beyond, its cadence marking advances like the capture of Cherbourg on June 26th, where U.S. engineers rebuilt the port to handle 15,000 tons daily by July. Innovations abounded. The use of DUKW amphibious trucks ferrying supplies from ship to shore, 2,000 in operation by D+90. Aerial resupply via 1,000 daily sorties dropping 500 tons, and the adaptation of British-designed Horsa-gliders for heavy equipment. German attempts to counter V-1 buzz bombs targeting London, U-boat sorties, floundered against Allied convoys protected by 800 warships and 1,600 merchantmen. Post-war analyses by the U.S. Army Center of Military History credit these logistics with shortening the European war by months, saving countless lives through sustained momentum. In the hedgerow battles of July, where bocage terrain favored defenders, American ingenuity shone. Bulldozer attachments on tanks, devised by Sergeant Curtis Cullen, cut through earthen barriers, enabling the Cobra breakout that encircled 100,000 Germans at Falaise. The hum of engines, now joined by the roar of Patton's Third Army trucks, symbolized this relentless drive, covering 600 miles to the Moselle by September. German General Heinz Guderian, in his memoirs, reflected on the invasion's logistics as the decisive factor, lamenting how American adaptability outmatched Wehrmacht planning. This metamorphosis reached its zenith as Allied armies surged toward the Rhine. The once arrogant Wehrmacht reduced to scavenging, their ideology of racial mastery exposed as hollow against democratic abundance. POW interrogations revealed shifted allegiances. Many officers, witnessing U.S. field hospitals treating enemy wounded with plasma and penicillin, questioned the Führer's narratives. The hum, fading into the war's crescendo, left an indelible mark, fostering post-war German admiration for American methods that influenced NATO doctrines. In the tranquil epilogue, as the hum of those engines dissolved into the winds of a liberated Europe and the beaches returned to silence, a timeless truth emerged like the sun-piercing storm clouds. That mechanical resonance, born of freedom's forges, signified not mere conquest, but the boundless abundance of democracy, where inventive spirits, united in liberty, forged paths through impossibility. It whispered that tyrannies built on division succumb to the harmonious advance of self-governed peoples, a legacy carved in the sands of Normandy, enduring as a beacon that the resourceful heart of freedom, once unleashed, propels history toward unyielding victory.